Good debt versus bad debt. What's the real difference? Here's something most people are never taught. Debt isn't automatically bad. In fact, some of the wealthiest people in the world are carrying enormous amounts of debt right now, on purpose. But here's the flip side. As of late 2025, the average American owed more than $6,500 on their credit card, and that kind of debt is quietly draining people's finances every single month. So what's the difference? Why is one type of debt a tool and another a trap? That's exactly what we're breaking down today. The first thing to understand is that debt is simply borrowed money you agree to pay back, usually with interest. And for a long time, the message most of us got was simple. Debt is bad, avoid it. But that framing misses something important. Some forms of debt can be a useful tool for achieving long-term financial goals, such as buying a home, investing in education, or growing a business. The question isn't really, is this debt? It's, what is this debt doing for me? A major factor in understanding good debt versus bad debt is interest rates. If you're paying a lower interest rate to borrow money than you could earn through other means, that's generally considered good debt. If you're paying high interest rates, like those on credit cards, that's bad debt. But interest rates are only part of the picture. The bigger question is what the debt is actually for. Part 1. What makes debt good? Good debt generally refers to borrowing that is considered an investment in your future financial well-being, often associated with assets that have the potential to appreciate in value or generate income over time. 3 clear examples. First, a mortgage. When you borrow money to buy a home, you're acquiring an asset that historically increases in value over time. You're also building equity, meaning every payment you make increases the portion of the home you actually own. Good debt often comes with a clear return on investment and favorable terms, such as a lower interest rate, generally under 6%. A mortgage typically fits that description. Second, at student loans. Student loans are generally considered good debt because education is an investment, and according to a Bureau of Labor Statistics study published in 2025, the median college graduate over the age of 25 with a 4-year degree earned at least $80,236 per year. Research by the Social Security Administration showed that men with bachelor's degrees earn $900,000 more in lifetime earnings than high school graduates. For women, the figure is $630,000. That's a significant return on the investment, though it still depends on the field and the cost of the degree. Third, business loans. Used wisely, borrowing to invest in a business can boost your income, create jobs, and build long-term value. If the business generates more income than the cost of the loan, it's working in your favor. Part 2. What makes debt bad? Bad debt is debt used to finance purchases that won't increase your net worth or future income, often used to buy things that depreciate, and typically carrying a high interest rate or a variable rate that could increase. The clearest example is credit card debt. According to Federal Reserve data, the average APR for credit card accounts in Q3 2025 was about 21.39%, and for accounts actually accruing interest, the average was even higher at 22.83%. Think about what that means in practice. If you have the average credit card balance of around $6,500 at roughly 22% interest, and you're making $250 monthly payments, it'll take you 37 months to pay it off, and you'll end up paying roughly $2,520 in interest over that time, nearly 40% of the original balance. You're not buying an asset that grows. You're paying a premium on things you already consumed, meals, clothes, impulse purchases, long after those things are gone. Part 3. The gray area, debt that can go either way. Here's where it gets nuanced. Not all debt fits cleanly into good or bad. Sometimes debt falls into a gray area. Credit card debt is often considered bad debt, but if you pay your bill in full each month, you won't pay any interest. Debt that doesn't accrue interest generally falls under good debt. Student loan debt also sits in a gray area. College costs have risen faster than inflation for several decades, and as of late 2025, U.S. residents owe a total of $1.8 trillion in student loans, with the average federal debt of about $39,000 per borrower. Whether that's good or bad debt depends entirely on what you studied, what you earn, and what the degree actually cost you. The key questions to ask before taking on any debt: Will this increase my net worth or earning potential? What's the interest rate? And can I realistically afford the payments? And what happens to my finances if things don't go as planned? Let's look at two people making different choices with the same $10,000. Meet Amara. She borrows $10,000 as part of a student loan to complete a professional certification. Her interest rate is 6.39%, the current federal undergraduate rate for 2025-26. The lowest federal loan rate of 6.39% is available to undergraduate students for the 2025-26 school year. After completing the program, her annual salary increases by $15,000. She pays off the loan in 3 years, paying around $1,000 in total interest. Net result, $1,000 cost $45,000 in additional earnings over those 3 years. That's good debt doing exactly what it's supposed to do. Now meet Daniel. He puts $10,000 worth of purchases on his credit card over several months: a new TV, a holiday, some furniture. His card charges 21.39% interest. He makes minimum payments. After 2 years, he's paid over $3,500 in interest and still owes more than $7,000. The TV has depreciated. The holiday is a memory. The furniture is worth a fraction of what he paid. He has less money, more stress, and nothing to show for the debt that could improve his financial position. Same $10,000, completely different outcomes because of what the debt was for and what it cost to carry it. Here's the short version. Good debt tends to be low-interest borrowing that builds your net worth, increases your earning potential, or acquires an asset likely to grow in value, like a mortgage, a student loan for a high-demand field, or a business investment. Bad debt tends to be high-interest borrowing for things that lose value or provide no financial return, credit card balances on non-essentials being the most common example. The two questions to ask before borrowing anything: will this make me better off financially in the long run? And can I actually afford the cost of carrying it? I'd love to know, have you ever taken on debt that you thought was good at the time, but turned out to be bad? Or the other way around? Drop it in the comments. These real-life examples are genuinely useful for everyone reading along. Next video, we're tackling something that confuses a lot of people: 401. Most people have heard of it, a lot of people have one through work, but very few actually understand how it works, what happens to the money, or why it's such a powerful tool for building wealth. We're breaking the whole thing down simply, with real numbers. Subscribe so you don't miss it.